The clink of silverware against plates echoed like a ticking clock in our family's old colonial house in suburban Philadelphia. Dad lifted his wine glass, his eyes gleaming with that self-satisfied glow he always wore at holiday gatherings. "I've kept this roof over our heads through thick and thin," he boasted, his voice booming across the table. I set down my fork, forcing a smile that felt like shards of ice, and let the words I'd buried deep inside finally spill out. "Actually, Dad, I've been the one paying the $250,000 mortgage for the last 4 years. The room went dead silent. The kind of quiet that swallows everything whole. Forks froze midair. Eyes widened in shock. And I could feel the invisible threads holding our family together start to snap. My name is Emily Carter. And at 36, I've carved out a life in the heart of Philadelphia as a senior project manager at a bustling marketing firm. Every day starts at 5:45 a.m. with a jog along the Schuylkill River, followed by a strong espresso and diving into client strategies that keep multi-million-dollar campaigns on track. My world is deadlines, data-driven decisions, and building something solid from chaos, everything my family never could grasp. Dad, or Robert to the guys at the local VFW hall, hasn't punched a clock since the auto parts plant shut down a decade ago. He spends his days in the basement workshop, fiddling with half-broken chainsaws and old radios he claims he'll flip for profit, all while nursing a six-pack and spinning tales of his glory days. Mom, Patricia, drifts from one gig to the next, waitressing at diners, stocking shelves at big-box stores, always one missed shift away from pink slips and empty cupboards. She's aged twice as fast as she should, her hands rough from scrubbing floors, but the money vanishes like smoke. And then there's my brother, Alex, 32 and still crashing in his old room upstairs. He's forever on the verge of something big, a podcast network 1 month, dropshipping gadgets the next, but his reality is endless hours on his console, racking up tabs at dive bars with buddies who are just as aimless. He talks a good game at family meals, dropping buzzwords like scalability and hustle culture, but it's all hot air. I got out, while they chased quick fixes and easy outs. I grinded through community college on scholarships, then transferred to Temple University, pulling all-nighters to graduate with honors in business. By 25, I had my first real job. By 30, I'd bought a sleek loft in Center City with skyline views. Success felt like armor. But family ties are chains that pull you back no matter how far you run. It began innocently enough. For years back, Mom called late one night, her voice cracking over the line. The water heater had burst, flooding the basement, and they couldn't scrape together the $1,200 for repairs. Just this time, she whispered, like a plea from the grave. I wired the money, telling myself it was a one-off. But patterns have a way of creeping in, silent as shadows. Next came the car transmission for Dad, $3, $500 after he forgot to change the oil for years. Then Alex's essential startup gear, a fancy laptop and software suite that set me back $2,800. Each request tugged at the old wounds, the guilt of being the successful one, the fear of watching them sink. The mortgage was the breaking point, the black hole that swallowed me whole. They'd refinanced the house so many times it was a tangled mess of high-interest debt, balloon payments, and ignored warnings. When the foreclosure notice hit, they were $75,000 underwater, the bank circling like a shark. I sat at their kitchen table, staring at the yellowed linoleum, as Mom begged with tears streaming. This is our home, Emily, where you grew up. We can't end up on the street. Against every instinct, I refinanced it all under my name, $250,000 at a rate that made my financial advisor shake his head. They swore up and down they'd chip in. Dad would pick up shifts at the hardware store, Alex would freelance. Mom would budget better. Lies. All of it. For years later. Every $2,300 monthly payment came from my account, draining my savings, postponing my dreams of a house in the suburbs or that solo trip to Europe. I became their ghost guardian, silent and seething, while they paraded like nothing had changed. No thanks. No acknowledgement, just more asks, wrapped in emergencies that smelled of excuses. The drive to Thanksgiving dinner that year was a slow burn. My Audi weaving through leaf-strewn streets under a slate-gray sky. I'd worked overtime all week, closing a major client deal. But fatigue clung to me like fog. Pulling up to the house, its faded siding and overgrown hedges mocked my efforts. I carried in a bottle of Cabernet and a pecan pie from the upscale bakery downtown, bracing for the ritual. Mom bustled in the kitchen, avoiding eye contact. Alex lounged at the table, thumbs flying over his phone. Dad shuffled in from the basement, grease on his hands, greeting me with a gruff, "Look who decided to show up." Miss Big City. The meal dragged on. A scripted play of complaints and boasts. Mom fretted about her latest job drama. Alex rambled about his influencer collab that was this close to blowing up. Dad lectured on how real men provide without all this corporate nonsense. I nodded, slicing my turkey into neat bites, the resentment simmering like a pot about to boil over. Then Dad stood, glass in hand, launching into his annual toast. "Through all the hard times, I've kept this family grounded. This house? It's my legacy." Something inside me fractured. Years of swallowed words erupting. "Your legacy? I've paid every dime of that $250,000 mortgage for 4 years." The air thickened, heavy with unspoken accusations. Mom's knife clattered to her plate. Alex's phone slipped from his grip. Dad's face twisted from pride to fury. "What the hell are you talking about?" I held his gaze, voice steady as steel. "The foreclosure you ignored? I saved this place. And you've never once lifted a finger to help." Chaos erupted, Dad bellowing about respect, Mom whispering denials, Alex muttering about family loyalty. I grabbed my coat and left, their voices chasing me into the night. For the first time, the silence in my car felt like liberation. Not loneliness, but freedom came laced with pain. Texts flooded in that night. A barrage of guilt and gaslighting. "Mom, how could you ruin Thanksgiving like that?" "Alex, you're acting like we owe you the world." "Dad, ungrateful after all we've done." I deleted them. But the hurt lingered. A dull ache in my chest. I'd spent years silencing my own needs, burying the betrayal under layers of obligation. Now, the dam had cracked, and memories rushed in, the loans that were never repaid, the vacations I skipped to cover their crises, the relationships that fizzled because who wants to date someone tethered to a sinking ship? Like with Mark, my ex from 2 years back, who'd watched me cancel our weekend getaways for yet another family bailout. "You're not their parent," he'd said before walking out. "You're their victim." A week later, Mom's text pinged, "We need to talk. Come over Saturday at 2 p.m. It's important." The precision raised flags, my family planned nothing. I arrived early, parking down the block out of habit, and approached quietly. Voices drifted from the cracked kitchen window, freezing me in place. "She'll bite," Alex said. Smug. "Guilt's her kryptonite." Dad chuckled. "Make sure you look wrecked." "Pat, we've rehearsed this." Mom's voice wavered. "I don't know. 45,000 feels wrong." "Lying about cancer?" "Not lying," Dad snapped. "You've had those lumps checked before. We'll say it's stage 1. Surgery needed." Insurance gaps boom. $45K out of pocket. Alex laughed. "And my app idea gets the seed money." "Genius." "She'll pay to save Mom." especially after her little outburst. My blood turned to ice. They weren't desperate, they were scheming. Dissecting my weaknesses like a playbook. What if she asks for proof? Mom fretted. Fake docs from online. I've got templates, Dad replied. Hit her with the house threat. Medical debt could force a sale. Their laughter sealed it. A knife twist in the gut. I slipped away, engine humming softly as I drove off. Rage boiled beneath the calm. Years of silent suffering igniting into something sharper, resolve. No more enabling. No more silence. They'd shown their true faces, predators in parental clothing, and now I'd mirror it back. Cold and calculated. The text started immediately. Mom, where are you? Feeling faint. Alex, Mom's chest hurts bad. Dad, get over here. I responded hours later. Hope it's nothing serious. See a doc. Their symptoms escalated daily, voicemails with labored breaths. Photos of hospital beds that were clearly the couch with props. I canceled autopays on utilities. Insurance. The mortgage, watching from afar as notices piled up. By mid-December, panic set in. Power flickers. Late fees. Foreclosure warnings. They bombarded me. But I stayed silent. Consulting a real estate lawyer. The house was mine legally. Eviction was straightforward. Family complications? He asked. Not anymore, I said. Christmas passed in solitude. My loft aglow with string lights. Chinese takeout warming my hands. No guilt. Just quiet victory. The eviction notice hit December 28th. Served by a stoic process server. Chaos ensued, blocked calls. Relatives' interventions. Even Alex's pathetic business pitch for his app. Begging $50K. I forwarded it all to my lawyer. Building a fraud file. Mom staged a scene at my office. Security escorted her out. Dad's letter arrived. A faux apology promising change. Too late. The old wounds, the isolation. The sacrificed dreams fueled me. By January 25th, they were out. The house empty and echoing. It sold fast. Netting $38,000 after fees, seed for my future. Therapy followed. Unpacking the psychological scars, the groomed guilt. The betrayal sting. Spring brought promotion. Travel to Italy's sun-drenched coasts. A chance encounter with Alex at my door. Slipping $50 under it as repayment for old debts. Stirred pity, but not regret. By next Thanksgiving, I hosted friends, chosen family in my new home. Laughter genuine. No strings attached. The price of my choices? Loneliness at times. But peace outweighed it. They'd paid with their illusions. I'd gained my soul. Home wasn't blood, it was boundaries. Hard-won and unbreakable.